and welcome to a brand new semester of Woman's Herstory with Allison Danger. I'm your professor, and we are kicking season 2 off with a bang. I have been wanting to get this lovely lady on for quite a while. You guys, I am so excited. She is a hockey fanatic. I don't know if this gives it away, but you best believe we wore the right shirts for today. I'm just going to go straight into the introduction because I'm betting you already know. Everybody, it is Renee Paquette.
Yay! Oh my God, I'm so excited that I finally get to be here, be on your podcast. We get to hang out and talk about like women things. What a great title for a show, by the way. Women's Herstory. It's brilliant. I love it.
Thank you. I randomly thought of it one day in the kitchen. I'm like, I want to start a podcast. I'm stuck here in the pandemic. I want to like make something of the time here. And then I couldn't think of anything. It took like 2 weeks to come up with it. And then I'm randomly cleaning the kitchen one day. I'm like, Woman's Herstory. That's what we're going to go with. So
brilliant. I love when stuff like that just happens. It's like serendipitous. It comes together. It's like easy. I was kind of like that with oral sessions, right? I was like, same thing. I was like, I should just start a podcast. I should be doing something. And I was like trying to figure out what I wanted to call it. I really like the sexual innuendo that comes with the name was really not what I had. Like, obviously I get it, but like, I was like, well, it's like, taking like an oral class or whatever, an oral test, all of these different things. But of course, everyone's a pervert about it.
Oh yeah, no, they're going to be creepy whenever they possibly can.
I don't blame them. It's fine. So long as they click on it and I get those likes, we're good.
Yeah, you're what, 40,000 subscribers in, if not more. Like just on your YouTube channel, I want to say you were at 40K already. Yeah, and I can see why.
Like skyrocketed up right away, which is really cool. So we're trying to like build out the YouTube. I'm honestly fairly unfamiliar with YouTube. So we just like started doing the show, started cutting the clips together to put that out there and trying to just blast it out on any social media platform we can possibly use. So yeah, that's really cool. I guess there's like, I don't really know how impressions work on YouTube, but the impressions have been amazing, which is very cool. We've got some great guests coming up for this year. It's very exciting. It's cool to like just build something from the ground up. If you build it, they will come. So they say.
Oh, Field of Dreams.
Yes.
Oh, love that movie. Yeah. My husband and I almost broke up over that movie. Because again, he didn't grow up with baseball. He's from Switzerland. Mm-hmm. And I was like, this is the greatest baseball movie, but it's more than just baseball. This is a father, a son, a family. Like this is something special. And he goes, okay, I'll watch it. And he watched it with me. You could just see the whole time.
He didn't care.
Oh, he's like, I'm like, do you not understand it? The symbolism behind when, oh my gosh, I can't remember the name of the gentleman that was old and then went back to being young. And then he gave up playing so he could rescue the little girl choking on the hot dog.
I just love a good sports movie. We've been going like deep in sports movies throughout the pandemic as well. I think it's just like everyone needs that inspiration. And there's just so many great sports movies to just like sink your teeth into.
So what are the top 3 sports movies you've watched?
We always love Warrior. Warrior's a fantastic movie. I had not seen that in quite a while. So rewatching that movie is outstanding. Tom Hardy's also one of my absolute favorite actors. So I love him. We watched all the Mighty Duck movies, of course, as a hockey fan and like a kid growing up, being on the ice all the time. I have much appreciation, especially in D2 when they're like rollerblading through the mall and stuff. We used to like rollerblade and stuff during our like off season to like train and whatever. Always love those. Gosh, what else? We do a lot of like fighting movies. Shocker. I keep trying to get John to go back to watch Southpaw because I really love Southpaw, but it makes him too sad. So we've not rewatched it.
What about Rocky?
Oh yeah, we put on Creed.
Okay,
love Creed, but I feel like we had watched the original Rockies fairly recently, so we've not rewatched those during the pandemic. But we did watch Creed.
I don't think my husband's seen the Rocky movies yet. That's a failure on my part. So I need to work on that. Now, have you seen there's a new Mighty Duck series in the works?
Oh,
it's going to be a show. And which one is it? Riley from Letterkenny plays one of the coaches.
No
So I'm like,
way.
okay, so I got great hockey, I got nostalgia, I got eye candy, because let's face it, Riley's a bit of a hottie, you know.
Are they
Um,
doing it in Canada?
I believe they are, and Lauren Graham plays the mom of one of the characters. I'm like,
What great casting. She's such a hockey mom. She's
right,
perfect.
she's
Yeah.
perfect. I'm like Lorelai Gilmore as a hockey
Yeah.
mom, because she'll always
Perfect.
be Lorelai to me,
Yeah.
no
She's
matter
for
what.
everybody, for
So
everyone. She's
I,
typecast.
I believe it's on Disney Plus, and it should be coming out soon. I will find
Oh,
out and I will
amazing.
message you.
Perfect.
So
I'll watch that. I love that.
I'm super excited for that.
Yeah, me
That's going to be
too.
great. So you ready? So by the time this recording airs, we will have at least one opening game under our belt with the Golden Knights, and one
Hell
win, of course.
yes, obviously. We'll be up there, get docking those W's. Yeah,
Ah,
I'm so excited for the season to start. It's so nice to have a distraction. So I know this is coming out a little bit later, but I had watched the World Juniors. I only got to watch the finals game, so I didn't realize how hard it was to track down watching it in the US. I mean, it's such a tradition in my family is to like on Boxing Day is when it normally starts. And I would watch it with my dad. So he was always like, you've got to find out how to watch it down there. You've got to figure it out. So like I was on NHL Network trying to do it. I was on Fubo trying to figure it out. It was like all these different things. But anyways, I ended up watching the World Juniors, which absolutely pumped me up. It just sort of whet my appetite for the hockey season just around the corner. So I cannot wait.
oh, I find myself sometimes when I'm perusing Instagram, they have these special people you can follow that like post all the NHL rumors and
Ooh,
like
yeah.
this is the trades, and I'm like doing all the trades because I'm home right now. I've been home just doing this, moving the house, taking care of kid. Hubby works, he comes home, and I'll be like, babe, babe, they were talking about trading Pacioretty, like talking this for this and that for that, and then they were going to market Fleury, and he was like, okay. I'm like, you don't understand. I go, and then the Flyers got this guy. And then this guy moved over from here to here. Like Cody Eakin switched teams after 1 year. And now Cody Eakin's back over here. And he's like, okay. I'm like, Eakin, the travesty tag top when we got robbed in the postseason. How do you not remember this? And I get like really, really hot about it.
Yeah. My husband doesn't give a shit. Oh, sorry. I did
You're
it.
good. You're good. No, you're good. We're leaving it in.
My husband could not care less about really watching hockey either. So we would go down to games and like he enjoys it enough. But if I was just to like put on a game, he doesn't really care. We were watching the playoffs though last year, and he was entertaining it enough with me. But yeah, we'll have to be each other's like shoulder to cry on during this because our husbands are kind of checked out during the hockey season.
My hubby will watch, he'll get into it, but like he doesn't get into the intricacies about it.
Sure.
He just really, really enjoys the game.
Yeah.
And my daughter, she'll be on her phone texting with her friends, and they'll be like, what is all that noise? She's like, it's just my mom. She's just watching hockey. She says a lot of bad words during hockey games. I just don't.
Oh my God.
Because she has zero
I get
interest.
so fired up.
Mm-hmm.
I get so fired up and I'm like screaming at the TV. I've like got on my jersey. I really like to lean into it. Cracking some beers.
Oh,
Hell yeah. That's a good life. It's good.
Like I feel like we should make a feast for that first night. Something special.
Something like Knights themed. We should just get like big turkey legs and like have like as if we're like at medieval times.
Yes.
Like just like big beer steins, big turkey legs.
How much do you miss going to games at the
I miss
Fortress?
it so much. I really miss going to games. There's nothing like being at a live sporting event. So I really miss being there. They also have poutine there, which is amazing. But the thing that I'm really looking forward to is now we've got an AHL team here in Las Vegas. So we can, I was just saying, John and I were just out for a walk. I was like, man, this time next year, hopefully we can actually be going to some Henderson Silver Knight games just around the corner from our house. Obviously watching NHL hockey is a blast, but there's something cool about being at a smaller arena. There's, not as many people there. It's hungry athletes that are just like dying to get after it and like prove themselves. I love going to hockey like that.
It's kind of like going to an indie show.
Yeah.
People are trying to get to that next level. So they're putting it all out there there. It's going to be the same with the Silver Knights.
Exactly.
Now, I have to ask, as a Canadian, And as a Canadian Golden Knights fan, do you catch a lot of heat from other Canucks about the way we run games and we run the fortress and the theatrics around like our opening?
So I don't get heat for that. I thought you were going to say, do I get heat for like not just cheering for Toronto all the time for the Maple Leafs, which like I do get that occasionally, usually from the Singh brothers. But no, not normally. I think people are really blown away by the theatrics of it. I think people generally kind of enjoy it. I mean, I will always remember like I was like 18 and I was playing ringette at the time, just like hockey. You've seen it. We rented ice before.
Yes.
You got a little taste of what that was about.
That was fun.
And my uncle took me to an Oilers game. And it was so, first of all, because you can drink at 18 in Edmonton. So I was like, hell yeah. He kept buying me these like giant beers. They're all under my chair. He bought me an Oilers jersey, which was like very sacrilege at the time. But having them come out with like the big oil rig and they come skating out like from underneath it to get the game going, and like the way the San Jose Sharks do it, like being at one of those games, like I know, but it's cool getting just like, I love when teams have that different opening to their games. My dad used to take us to Sudbury Wolves games all the time when I was a kid. I'll always remember like whenever ever they scored, this like rickety ass coyote would just like crank out in the middle of the arena and howl out. But I always thought it was great. I love the theatrics of things like that, or like something to look forward to either like during a game, during a goal, or or the opening. But I do like with the Vegas Golden Knights because Johnny Greco, who used to work for WWE, he was doing a lot of the work for them. So they would play a lot of WWE music during fights, during goals, all that. It's very cool.
So did you ever watch it like when the Ric Flair pops out and you get a woo?
Yeah.
It's just Ric Flair popping out on the Jumbotron, and
it's perfect.
And Cesaro and Sheamus are in one of the openers that they show. And
that chaps John's ass. John's like, why did I get to do that? Because we were there and he's like, why is Claudio doing it?
So Claudio, when he filmed it, was it was in a Vegas arena. They were here in town. Him and Sheamus filmed it. They got a little swag. He hooked me up with one of the hats. I wear it like almost every day to this day. Like that is my special hat from Claudio. And what was really cool was so him and my husband are best friends, right? They were tag partners in Switzerland. They worked for WXW Germany. One of the guys from WXW Germany, Tassie Lo Young, who helps run it, referee, all that, married my husband's ex-girlfriend, who were very, very close. She's my Swister wife. They come and have vacations with us, right? We literally go on vacations through Europe, through America together.
Wow.
They come over, okay? Awesome people. We're going to take them to a Golden Knights game. The four of us are sitting in there and we're watching the opening thing, and up pops Claudio and Sheamus, and you see these four really loud Swiss, Canadian, American, German people jump up, and we're like, that's our boy. That's our boy. We're like, that's him. We love him. That's our family. Yes. And
that's amazing.
And then we taught them, of course, during the national anthem, you got to yell Knight.
You have to.
You have to. We do it at home. Do you?
We don't do it at home, but I appreciate, because I always see you tweet it as well, which I always appreciate. I always appreciate that. One of the last times I went to a game in person, my uncle was in town, same uncle that from Edmonton. He likes to throw back some cocktails, and we had really great seats. We were like up like really close. He got in a fight with a dude, like full like Canadian, like just to start some shit. And I'm like, oh my God, you cannot do that.
It was a Donnybrook
game. It was a full Donnybrook. And they escorted us out of the building. Shame. I couldn't believe it. My Uncle Jim. Yeah, he's a madman. He's a giant man too. And it's like me, him, my aunt, John. And John's like, I don't want anything to do with this. Hell no. And my uncle's like just like starting shit just to do it. He's a brat.
I mean, so you grew up with the Maple Leafs. I grew up with the Flyers. Mm-hmm. And so I grew up with the Broad Street Bullies.
Oh, hell yeah.
So for me, going to a hockey game was you cussed, you yelled, you fought, you argued with people. And at the end, everybody went home and it was great, right? I went to a Carolina Hurricanes game, and I remember using the restroom and coming back, and they're like, oh, ma'am, no NHL respect. You can't walk down these stairs while there's play. And I'm going, where the heck did you come up with that rule? That's not a rule in Philadelphia. And they're like, well, in Carolina, it's a rule. Carolina's my third team. I got an
That's
Irish
a rule in
shirt and
Toronto
everything.
too.
So it was never a rule in Philadelphia. I'm assuming it is now, and I know it's one here in Vegas, but that was kind of a slap in the face for me. I'm like, what are you going to tell me now I can't cuss and throw stuff and fight people? And they're like,
Yes.
yeah, we're also going to tell you that, ma'am. And I'm like, let me go take my Lindros jersey somewhere else. Cause
yeah, I actually used to waitress at the Air Canada Center. So I would waitress during Raptors games, during Leafs games, during the Toronto Rock, which is their lacrosse team. But I would waitress during those games. And yeah, you like, even when you're waitressing, which was really cool, is Walter Gretzky used to always sit in my section. So I'd be like, hell yeah, whatever you want, Walter, I got you. But you had to sit down on the stairs even during play. Like you could only get up during whistles and obviously in between periods and whatnot. But it's very strict rules.
that was crazy.
Toronto's weird though, because when you're in that like bottom pit of like those like fancy seats, it's all just businessmen. Like you can't get tickets in Toronto. It's impossible. They all sit there like reading their newspapers and stuff. Like they don't
Ew.
even really care. It sucks. Yeah, it's weird.
I want to be behind a bench one day, and I want to be behind a penalty box one day.
Oh, me too. I want to get like sprayed with the water from like talking some trash.
Oh yeah. I just want to fight, especially if it's like the Bruins are in town.
Yeah.
We're going to go after the Rat King, Brad Marchand. I warned you I was going to bring that up. I hate that guy. It's one of the few hockey things that me and Courtney Rush can agree on. We all hate Brad Marchand. So if he ever watches this podcast, you can boo. You
coming
suck.
for you, Marchand.
Me too. Come get it. There will be a jersey over your head, a little pop, Ryan Reed style.
You're gonna turtle like a little bee. I'm trying not to.
You're doing great. No, you're doing great. So how long till we start a hockey podcast, you and me?
You know what? I'm ready to go. I got nothing but time. We should just do one. I mean, when the season starts, we should. That'd
be fun. I wonder if I think people would watch it.
That's actually
a fun
idea. Even just to like do it for like, why not?
At some point, we need to set it up like, I don't know, Twitch style or something. People watch us watch hockey.
Yes. Oh, then, I mean, luckily you're allowed to swear on there because that's when
it's going to come out. Oh my gosh. Yeah. There's going to be some horrible things coming out.
The passion. You can't stifle that passion.
You can't. In those 3 hours, I am not responsible for the things coming out of my mouth. And then we'll
it's best not to have a live camera on me during that. I'd probably get canceled or something.
I think we record it and then have Lenny Leonard do commentary after the fact and post-production, and then we just sell it.
Perfect.
Yes.
That's great.
Because I feel like that would be perfect. Because Lenny's a perfect announcer. He's
amazing. Yeah.
I love him so much. So you grew up in Toronto. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
What came first, hockey or wrestling for you?
Oh, hockey, 100%.
Yeah.
So it's actually funny that like I never really anticipated that I would like work in sports the way that I did, especially like my first big break was working at the Score in Toronto, whole sports network, national sports network. But I will always remember like just being obsessed with watching hockey, but not just watching hockey. I mean, like my dad was obsessed with watching it. My mom's boyfriend at the time was like obsessed with watching it. Everyone was playing it. Like my time was just spent at a rink all the time. But I would be so obsessed with like, not just wanting to know like, all right, we've got Gilmore out there. We've got Matt Sundin. We've got Darcy Tucker, Ty Domi, blah, 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 having all these guys. I wanted to know the depth of each player. So like I would make lists and I'd like write them all down so that I could like really talk the talk and like know who everybody was and not just like talk about like the star players and whatnot. But I used to like get really fixated on making sure I just like had all of the analysis and knew what was going on with everybody. But I think was me sort of dipping my toe into like, I want to talk sports with people. I like this, like as like a kid having these like little lists out and stuff. What a dork. But definitely hockey came first. That was like my first passion was like getting on the ice. Like I've been able to skate since I was like a kid. I played ringette instead of hockey, much to my father's chagrin, because he was very much like, if you played hockey, you could probably actually do something with it. And all my friends played ringette, so I just stuck with that instead. But I not that I don't regret that. I love my time playing ringette, but I did play hockey a bit, but I didn't play until I was a bit older. I played in like women's leagues and whatnot, but I can't stick handle very well. I can skate well, but I can't stick handle.
I can vouch for your skating abilities. from that time
You
you
were
rented.
there.
I was there. I was like, man, I'm so rusty. I'm so rusty. I'm gonna look bad. And then I ended up just helping the kiddo skating. So I
Yeah.
didn't really get into it. And I'm watching you just like cut through the ice and back and forth.
But then I bit it too.
Oh.
I bit it a few times because I hadn't skated in literally like probably like 15 years, at least 10 years. Like
Okay.
it's been a long time since I put on skates.
You were not rusty at all. Like
I
look
fell.
natural. Yeah, but we all
fell
fall.
a lot, but
We all fall.
yeah, because and those were brand new skates.
Mhm.
So I mean, once the pandemic hit, and I kept having these lofty ideas that I was like, God, I miss being on the ice so much. That's all I did as a kid and as an adult. So now that that's just not so readily available to me, I'm like, I need to buy more equipment. So I bought myself a full set of equipment, bought John a full set of equipment for whatever reason. Again, lofty goals. And so we rented the ice and finally got to go out and play. But those were brand new skates, first time sharpened. I was like, well, let's see what's going to happen here. And it's like a duck to water. You don't really forget how to do it. I'm sure it's like that with you with wrestling. You take a second off and then all of a sudden you're back into it. And it's like muscle memory kicks in.
It's surprising. If I'm sitting here trying to think of some stuff, it doesn't really come. And then I'll go to the training facility here in Vegas because a couple of my students train here. And I'll get in, I'll be like, do this, run this. I need to see this. I need this. The only thing I don't do is I just don't bump anymore.
Yeah.
I haven't bumped in like 7 years. And I keep going, walking in the training going, today's the day. I'm going to bump.
That bump's going to rock your world.
It's going to be the worst. And we just moved into a new home and they're having a problem with the hot water in our master bath because we have a garden tub. So I don't have the garden soaking tub yet. And they're sending a plumber out to fix it. And I'm like, well, if I'm going to bump, I need to know that I can come right home, strip off and just soak in the hottest water.
Get those
possible,
Epsom salts out.
Get them ready. And then the ice bath and all that stuff. And and switch back and forth.
I really, once I have this baby, I really truly might consider like joining a league out here. Cause when we went that day, the one dude that like gave us the ice, he was like, come play in our men's league. And I was like, okay, I was going to, and then I never went back and now I'm pregnant. So I can't do that, but I didn't forget about it, buddy, if you're listening.
Now imagine starting a women's league here. And you got John and the new baby and the crowd cheering on mama. But is it going to be full contact?
Hell no. No, not in adult league. Though when I played women's leagues, because it usually kind of went that way. It gets a little rough and tumble, but I don't know. I'm not afraid of a little physicality. Bring it my way, but I don't need that in my life.
So I'm going to tell you the best hockey fight I've ever seen. I lived in North Carolina near Fort Bragg, and I got to join a women's like recreational team. Okay. That's where because I never really played it growing up. I knew about it. I'd watch Flyer games with my grandma, but I never really played. So it wasn't until I was about 19, 20 that I got started. And I played on this all women's team, and it was mostly Red Wings fans. So there was a lot of fun animosity there because my coach, he played for the minor league Fayetteville.
Would you come out in like Flyers socks and everything?
I come out in Flyers everything. I had the Bauer Lindros stick. This tells you what age I was.
Yeah.
I had the Lindros jersey. I had Bauer everything. Let's just put it this way. If Lindros wore it, I wore it.
Fair enough.
What a disappointment he ended up being, but that's for the podcast. Anyway, so we are playing this other team, and they were known for being a little rough and tumble. And we've got our captain. Her name was Tuesday. Her name was Tuesday Red, and we called her.
That's her real name.
That was her real name.
What a cute name,
right? Tuesday's a cute name. I dig
Love
it.
That.
Look at you. You're like, check that.
I like
later.
that. Okay.
Check that for later. So Tuesday, we used to call her Stone Cold because she was just tough, very physically fit, all that. And then we had the assistant captain, which was Lucy. So Lucy skating up the boards, and this power lifter chick from the other team, boom, runs her right into the boards. Next thing we know, Tuesday's on this lady's back, right? Drops down, flips her around, knocks the helmet off, drops the gloves, and she's got rings on every single finger and just starts pow, 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 pow. Well, this lady was a power lifter, so she was strong. So she's giving it back. Next thing we know, there's blood coming down the face.
No.
Refs can't get them apart. None of us are touching this fight because, third man in, can't do it. So none of
No.
us, so we're just sitting there watching.
Let him take it down to the ice.
Coach comes, assistant coaches come, husbands are coming down from the ice. At this point, they've fallen down. And now they are using each other's skates to try and get in between their gear. They're going for blood. They're trying to cut each other.
What?
It was the craziest hockey fight I've ever seen.
Oh my God.
They're thrown out. All of them are thrown out of the building. I don't know if there was a suspension or what, but it was the craziest fight I've ever seen.
That is intense. I remember getting in a couple fights playing ringette. So when I was like younger, and ringette is generally all women or all girls. I was a girl at the time. I was a kid, but there was a boy on this one team and he did not like me. And we were shaking hands at the end of the game and he punched me. And I was like, no, again, we're kids. It's fine. But I was like, oh, hell no, he did not. I went in the locker room and I changed really quick. My mom's like, what are you doing out? Normally I'm like the last one out of the locker room. And she's like, what are you doing out here? And I'm just patiently waiting in the lobby, blah, blah, blah. The kid walks out and I just like socked this kid in the parking lot, rolled his ass in the parking lot. I'm like 10 fighting this kid, maybe like 12, but like, yeah, fully rolled a kid in the parking lot that hit me during a little friendly, good game at the end. And I got a few of those of like older. Me and this one chick got into it during a game of ringette, and we both got kicked out. But the dressing rooms were on the other side of where the bench was. So the bench is on the one side of the rink. We're on the other side. We both get kicked out. We just beeline for each other on the outside, like on like the rubber mats, just beeline, just like take each other down outside the locker rooms. Yeah, I think I got a couple games for that one, but
worth it.
These things happen. Sometimes no one knows what it's like to get punched in the face anymore. And that's what we could get away with back then.
Yeah. I mean, you can't be surprised when it happens.
No, I had it coming. She had it coming. We're all better off for it. It's fine.
Right. It's character building.
Yeah, exactly. Mental fortitude, physical fortitude.
So you've had your ringette, you've had your hockey. When did the wrestling spark catch on?
So I would say it really kind of caught on when I was like a kid. Some of my like guy friends, of course, were like super into it. They like obviously loved Undertaker and Stone Cold and Rock and Kane. And we'd be out on each other's like lawns, giving each other tombstones and stuff. Don't try this at home. And I remember going to like shows and stuff. My dad took me to a show. He was a concert promoter. So he worked at the Sky Dome at the Air Canada Center in Toronto. So he would kind of sneak us into these shows. But I remember meeting Mick Foley and seeing China and like seeing The Rock and stuff and being like, oh my God. So I definitely like I got bit by the bug then. And then it wasn't until later when I started working at the Score when I was like, oh, I'm going to work in sports in some capacity. And they're like, hey, they had the rights to all WWE in Canada. So they're like, hey, do you want to host an after show for Monday Night Raw? And I was like, hell yeah. I'm all about this, saying yes to opportunities and we'll figure it out. So I said yes. And just sort of like dove head first back into the wrestling world and just fully loved it again. And I had no idea, looking back on that day, of my boss being like, do you want to maybe do this? That like I would have gone on to do the things that I got to do in WWE. It's all very serendipitous the way things just sort of work out, and timing and opportunity and preparation and all that stuff. It's pretty cool.
And it's amazing, like, because, with your path and the way wrestling came to you and how you got to flow. I mean, you got to go around the world. You got to be on Total Divas. You met the man of your dreams. Yeah, I'm assuming John's the man of your dreams, right?
Hell yeah. What a guy. Oh my
God. I know. Your podcast with him was so sweet and so funny. And I'm like, telling my husband, I'm like, we're going to listen to it together because like you and him sound a lot alike. And I think they might have met each other before, possibly.
I'm sure they must have.
It's a small world.
It is. It totally is.
But I was like, yeah, it just was so sweet. But, wrestling brought me my husband, wrestling brought you your husband.
Yeah.
And, we have a lot of friends through wrestling. We have mutual friends through wrestling. Now I was telling you off camera how I remember seeing you when you did that season of Total Divas. You were talking about, I live in Vegas now. I need friends. And I'm sitting there on my couch going, I'll be your friend.
Call me.
I'm like, I think we would get along so well. If there weren't a pandemic, you and I would be baking so much stuff.
But that being said, our friendship started during the pandemic because we had been like talking back and forth on Twitter. Then I get hit with COVID, and you were such a dreamboat that you're like, you made me that like chicken tortilla soup. You brought me some teas and stuff. Like we had not even met, and you were so sweet to bring me those things, which were delicious, by the way.
Oh, thank you.
Oh my God. So good. But yeah, it's really cool. Cause like you said, it's like, we did not know each other, but we have enough of these mutual friends. And I'm like, if they're down, I'm down. We're all pals. It's great.
I mean, like we have a lot of mutual friends. And I'd mentioned to my brother, I'm like, I think Renee lives near me. And he goes, why don't you reach out to her, kid? She's so nice. I'm like, that's kind of weird. I'm like, I don't want to just randomly be like, so like you and I know a lot of people, so we should just be buddies. But I would joke with my husband. Like we would see you on TV and I'd be like, it's my future best friend right there.
Oh,
like,
I said that to
We're going to be besties.
As soon as you left and you dropped off the stuff, I was like, John, I think I just met my new best friend. It just happened. Oh my God. How exciting.
And it's
we've been like kept apart during this pandemic, but well, we're working on it.
It's Shakespearean. Great. It's Shakespearean how we've been held apart. But now I'm like, I'm sitting there, like I'll message you and I always tell you, if you ever need baby stuff, I'm here. And because I'm that kind of person.
Up on that for sure.
Because people, when you're pregnant, will give you all sorts of unwanted advice and their opinions and stuff like that. And I'm the kind of person who's, if you want it, I'll give it to you, but I'm not going to force it on you.
Sure.
So like if you ever need, hey, how do I help with a gassy baby, or she's crying, what do I do? Or blah, blah, blah. Or even if it's just because we live close, I need a nap. Come get this kid. I'll come hang out. Go take a shower, take a nap. Me and her will hang out. We'll watch wrestling. We'll watch some TV together.
God, won't that be so fun when we can actually just like be together and like watch hockey?
Right.
Hanging out and stuff. What a dream that'll be. That sounds lovely.
I'm going to show up with my cookbook and be like, okay, page 93, show me how we do this.
And I'll be like, how did I do that?
How did you do that? And then at the end, I do have a question for you, and you can think about this as we continue on. Is I got lemon curd, homemade lemon curd for a Christmas present. What do I do with lemon curd?
I mean, I would just think to like I don't know, like a lemon meringue pie. I'm not a big baker, so I'm not really sure. See, you're the baker.
I'm the baker.
I like to cook. With lemon curd, I'd have to think. I mean, I don't know. Maybe like some kind of like a lemon scone or like I don't know.
Ooh.
I'd have to look into that to like. I've never used it.
So this is what I'm gonna do.
What's the consistency of it? Is it just like custardy?
Yes. So I'm thinking a scone might be the right thing. I've been watching a lot of Great British Bake Off.
Oh yeah.
So maybe a nice pastry or a little phyllo pastry, a lemon curd and a little mini meringue.
Or what if you made like lemon curd stuffed donuts? That would be good too.
Ooh. I'm going to have to bring them to you.
I've had donuts on the mind a lot lately. Really thinking about donuts these
days. Thinking? What's your donut of choice here in Las Vegas?
So because I'm not previously a huge donut person, I normally don't really care for sweets. I'm pregnant. All I want is sugary stuff. But my favorite donuts are just old fashioned plain.
Oh, really?
My favorite.
Okay.
But the idea of like a stuffed powdered donut right now is like literally making me smile.
It really is. It really is. I feel like you need to send the hubby out for some pink box right now.
Like literally, I'm like, as soon as we hang up here, I might have to just go through like Dunkin' drive-through or something. I don't know. Get some donuts.
Don't go to the one on Gibson. They're closed. They're closed for renovations. That one's my favorite though. They're so nice. But
we went on Christmas Day. John and I went for a hike out by Red Rock or in Red Rock, and then we like swung by Red Rock Casino on our way back, and we were like, I was like, let's go grab like Starbucks or whatever. I was like, I'm gonna get a donut, and they didn't have them. And my like my pregnancy hormones, literally, I was like, don't cry. It's okay. You don't have to cry about it. But I was like heartbroken. They didn't have donuts. I was like, no.
I'll tell you, I definitely cried over food when I was pregnant. I absolutely cried over food because it was Coke Ices, Big Macs,
Ooh.
and the chocolate chip cookies with the vanilla ice cream rolled in chocolate chips.
Oh,
I
that sounds
knew
awesome.
every store in a 50-mile radius that carried them. And I would tell my hubby,
Amazing.
I would just look at them and be like, now, it's got to happen now.
Have you ever had Cinnaholic?
I have not.
Oh my God. So they're vegan cinnamon buns, but
Ooh.
so I'm not vegan by any stretch, but these cinnamon buns rock your world. There's one at Eastern in 215, or sorry, Green Valley in
I
215.
know exactly where it is.
Yeah,
Oh,
and it's amazing. They're really, really good.
what?
Yeah, I highly recommend those. They're
Ugh.
awesome. Yeah.
I'm gonna
Oh,
send you a picture of me like just stuffing my face with icing everywhere, going, "What have you done to me?"
you did this. Oh
And
my
now
God,
everybody
yes.
watching is going, "We're really, really hungry."
That's me all the time. I'm constantly hungry.
Oh
It's an
my goodness.
ongoing battle. I'm losing it. It's okay.
Oh, it's okay. You're allowed to lose it,
I know if there's ever
right?
been a time to let loose, it's now.
Yeah. Baby needs her calories. You
I
got to grow
agree.
that baby. You got to grow
Yes,
it.
she's
So then she could be a bruiser
growing.
on the rink. I don't care what John says. We're raising a hockey baby now.
Oh, I agree. He has no idea what he's getting himself into, but because he's so like, she's going to be into jujitsu and she's going to be wrestling down on the mats and stuff. I'm like, okay, cool. I was like, I'm getting her skates real quick.
Watch out. So
Yeah.
me into hockey, into wrestling, hubby into wrestling, right? Did a couple sports things over in Switzerland. Our kid, art, all art, animation, wants to be an author, once referred to Stephen King as the competition. We were at
That's
Barnes and
awesome.
Noble, and she goes, "Can I get a Stephen King book?" And I go, "Well, which one do you want?" She goes, "Well, I'm thinking It." I'm like, I think it's a little advanced for you. You're only 11.
And it's a
No,
giant book.
it's a giant book, which doesn't scare her.
Okay, that's good. Scares me.
What scared me was I remember trying to read it. 17 pages in, I threw it in the trash. I go, can't handle this, right? And I know she's 11, trying to keep her still a little innocent. So we ended up with a different book. I forget which one we got.
But not Stephen King?
It was still Stephen King.
Okay.
And I go, "Well, babe, what makes you want Stephen King?" She goes, "I need to keep up with the competition, Mom. So I
That's
got to know
amazing.
what makes this guy so good."
Love that.
And I'm like, if I only had that confidence, the same confidence my child has in that, Stephen King's the competition. I'm like,
I
you know
love
what?
that.
Dwayne The Rock Johnson's the competition. I'm just going to call him that.
Yeah,
and try
why
and
not?
manifest that greatness.
That's where it
into
starts. That's where it
So-
starts. Yeah, I really got into a Stephen King kick over Halloween because the last 2 Halloweens, like I need to start reading more scary novels. And Misery really holds up.
Yeah, that one's Now, do you think that would be okay for her? She's almost 12.
I don't know. I don't know anything about kids. I don't know when kids can watch or read anything like that. I have no idea. It's scary as all hell. So I read a really cool book over Halloween. Oh my gosh, what's it called? My Best Friend's Exorcism.
Oh, okay.
It's like this like 80s, has like a very 80s vibe to it, but the writing's really great and it's like charming and clever, but it is still scary at the same time. That is a cool one I think that a kid might enjoy, that still has very like an adult concept behind it, but it's a little more palpable. Is that the word?
I think so.
Well,
We're going to go with it.
Edit it if it's not.
This is where I learned to edit.
Yeah, it's fine. Whatever. It's more digestible, maybe. Whatever. Anyways, it's a great book. I highly recommend it. So get her that one.
Okay, my best
Or
friend's
I just have it
Exorcism.
here. She can have mine. It's great.
Oh, I'll tell her about it because she's super into that stuff.
Yeah,
Like they watched The Conjuring the other day. Her and my husband.
great stuff.
Yeah.
I love horror things. I love it. My husband hates that stuff. I'm obsessed
do it.
with it. I love it.
Can't do it. I'll just rewatch Letterkenny.
Fair enough.
So okay, let's kind of skirt back to a little bit of wrestling real quick because we're
me
turning
with
this
it.
into a hockey cookbook.
I know.
So-
Sorry.
No. I love it. I want it to flow organically. So you got to do color commentary. You got to host. Which did you prefer, commentary or hosting?
Hosting 100%.
Yeah.
Commentary is not something like I just didn't enjoy it. It wasn't something that, when I was like ever mapping out things that I wanted to accomplish in my career. That like being a commentator was never on my list of things that I wanted to do. I love being a TV host. I love getting to host different shows, whether it was doing like kickoff shows or, doing network shows or working for Fox or whatever. Like that's my wheelhouse. But when the opportunity came up to do commentary on Monday Night Raw, I was like, hell yeah. Like I would love to be the first woman to do that. And I really wanted the challenge of learning how to do that, but it just wasn't for me. I just really didn't like it. I never really took to it. It just wasn't fun. It was that feeling of like, as soon as I kept waiting for them to take me off of commentary, like I just sort of, when you just kind of get that feeling of like, no one's really enjoying this. I'm not enjoying it. I know they're not enjoying it. Like, I mean, like people higher ups in WWE, or at least I felt that they didn't enjoy it. So I kept kind of waiting for that other shoe to drop and being like, please put me out of my misery. Like
Oh,
it was just really stressful. And like, I don't like not being good at something. I can be such a microscope perfectionist of what I do. I don't like not being good at something and trying to learn a new skill on something like Monday Night Raw, where it's like sink or swim, you got to figure it out. That like to try to perfect a craft like that is so intricate. It's not like calling something like hockey or football or baseball. You're not just calling what you see. That's
mm.
just not how it works in wrestling, as you know. It's like putting over a heel, putting over the baby face, telling these stories, kind of planting these seeds along the way. And me not being seasoned enough doing that at all. I did it, for a little bit at NXT years prior. So being thrown into the deep end on Monday Night Raw and being like, I'm going to try my best to make this work. But I was just, that whole year was very stressful for me. I did not enjoy it.
Did you feel a lot of pressure or added pressure because you were the first woman to really
Absolutely.
to do it, and then to do it for as long as you got to do?
Yeah, and I love that I got to do it as long as I did. And it was obviously such an experiment kind of on everyone's part of like, okay, if we're going to put a woman in to do it, she's the one to do it. And I felt strongly about that too. I was like, I do want to be the one to do it. Absolutely. But I think the way that WWE works as well, it's like things just move so fast. And we're on to the next show, on to the next segment, on to the next whatever, that I never really had the time for someone to hold my hand and nurture me. And I
Mhm.
really needed that because I just didn't know what the hell I was doing. And everyone else is busy doing their own thing. They're like, I don't know what to tell you, Toots, you're on your own. So I think that was something that just made that more difficult, is I just always felt like I was in the weeds and trying to save myself. Um, and I can be so critical of myself in those moments too, of being like, I feel weird. So I feel like everyone else feels weird. And I feel like everyone thinks I'm just the worst at this. So like that would get in my head a lot. But definitely that pressure of like being the first woman you want. And that, when I was even doing it at NXT, and that was different because working at NXT is obviously different than working on Raw, and you've got Vince in your ear and the shows are just run differently. That there's a little more room to play around and try what works and what doesn't work. So I enjoyed doing it at NXT more for sure. But yeah, even when they took me off then, I was like, cool. It's just not the thing that I love to do. I want to be good at it. I want to make this work, but I also just would love to never do this ever again.
Mm.
I really didn't like it.
Do you feel with your time there, you spent, what was it, 8 years with the company doing
8 years.
things?
Yeah.
Would you say, and it's not toothing your own horn, but realistically, I would say you're the benchmark for any woman coming after you of, oh, I would love to achieve what Renee achieved and put my own mark on it, be my own person. But like when I think of female hosts and wrestling and stuff, like you're at the top of that list right there. So did
Which
that
is
add any pressure?
amazing. No, I never felt pressure with that because that was something that came more natural to me. I was always in my wheelhouse and in my comfort zone in the hosting side of things, from, like I said, like doing the kickoff shows or even doing backstage interviews. Like I feel like every other facet that I worked in WWE was great. I had a great time. I had a great experience. I had great feedback. I mean, whether it was from Vince or Kevin Dunn or whoever to the fans, it's like everything always seemed very positive. So I felt very confident in that role. And I think everyone else felt very positively about me there too, that I didn't really second guess any of that stuff. And I was always down to kind of step into whatever the next role was, which is how the commentary thing came up. But yeah, it's interesting because there was nobody else. I was just carving my own path. I wasn't trying to be anybody else or fill anybody else's shoes. I was just kind of navigating this blank slate the best that I could. There's all these other broadcasters and hosts that were in WWE, but as far as like being a female and getting to, I never really even got to be like too much of a character, but they did let my personality come through as opposed to some of the other girls or guys. And it's not their fault. Make that very clear. It's not their fault, but it's like this robotic style that is put on them to just like not react to anything or whatever. So I love that I was able to still have personality and have fun with things. And I would always harken back to somebody like Mean Gene. Like he to me was the absolute bar of anybody else in that broadcasting role. I mean, obviously you can look at Gorilla Monsoon or, you can rattle off a bunch of different names of guys that were great in that role. But as far as like just being a host and being a personality, Mean Gene was like the guy for me.
Oh yeah, I remember meeting him at a convention once. He was so funny.
He's the best.
Super flirty.
Oh
Very
my
flirty.
God, I know.
I'm like, excuse me, sir. He's like, come on over here.
I
You want
know.
my autograph? And I'm
He's
like,
such a little shit.
I'm like, me? No, I'm a married woman.
So my very first job with WWE was working with him.
Okay.
So we did a show called WWE Vintage. We did it for years, but it all aired internationally. So we would just take old clips and we would talk about old storylines or like just do features on older wrestlers or whatever. So we used to air that in Canada. So when I first started at WWE, they're like, well, you're going to be on Vintage. And I was like, oh, I get to work with Mean Gene. I remember being just so nervous. Yeah, just like being in this like old studio that we used to work in and him welcoming me on. And I was like, oh my God, like freaking out that I got to work with Mean Gene, but just getting to spend that time with him for years of us just like being like co-hosts with each other. And like the best times were always, the mess ups on camera, the time when the camera was not rolling. He's just such a quick firecracker. The stuff that would fly out of his mouth is just like the best.
But it sounds like it was a very warm and like comfortable environment too.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, he is so, who doesn't love Mean Gene Okerlund,
Yeah.
So the fact that he was there and that him and I had such a great rapport, I think that opened up a lot of other people to me as well. I think that he kind of almost like gave his like blessing to me or like a passing of the torch of like, cool, I like her. We work well together and we loved working together. So I think that really maybe opened other people's eyes to who I was there.
That's pretty amazing.
Yeah. Yeah.
So with Women's Herstory, we usually talk about the women that inspire you. Now, I will say, being that you were pretty much like the pioneer of what you've done, I imagine if I ever get like other hosts on here, you're going to be that person they're telling me about. But was there any like, I know, right? I'll be like, who inspired you? Renee, it's Renee, right? Just Renee. So were there any women that like took you under your wing, under their wing to get you more comfortable? I mean, it can be a tough environment in wrestling to break into.
Yeah, you know what? One person that I will always remember, it's tough. And my big thing getting into wrestling was understanding the respect that comes along with being in the locker room and sort of the hierarchy and the way that things work. It's not just like, oh, we all have a job here, everyone's equals, whatever. Like, just doesn't work like that.
Yeah.
Most places, anywhere in the world just isn't really like that, So I will always remember I just kind of started. I'd been on the road for like a second and it was WrestleMania, 29, I think was in New York, New Jersey. And I had just started and I wouldn't even bring my stuff in the locker room because I was like, well, I'm like a broadcaster. I don't even know if I should bring my stuff in there. I don't know where I go. And Vicky Guerrero was like, girl, what are you doing? Bring your stuff in. You are one of us. You get to come be a part of this locker room. So I will always remember Vicky being somebody, and Vicky Guerrero, like she is a sweetheart, so lovely. But when you just watch her on TV, you're like, oh my God, is she going to be mean to me? Like, what's she going to be like? So and that she's like a veteran. She's Vicky Guerrero. So I wasn't sure like if we could be like friends or like what she thought of me. So for her to like be so disarming and welcome me in, it was like her and Tamina, because those two are thick as thieves too. To have those two women who were very much like the locker room leaders at the time, for them to welcome me in and tell me to bring my bags in there and just sort of made me feel comfortable. They were amazing.
That's so awesome. I always say if I ever, because I started my career as a manager, went to wrestling. Now I do coaching, training, producing, commentating, everything else. I do everything else, right? So I've always said that if I ever got a run to be a manager one more time, she would be the dream opposition because of how she is on the mic. And I just feel like her and I have those personalities that we would just play.
Yeah.
You know, I just, yeah, she would be, she would be the dream managerial opposition. And
Yeah.
I mean, that would be so cool. But what a person to like welcome you in. Like I could see her as not just a locker room leader, but as a mom, like a mom of the locker room.
Yes. She very much so was that mom of the locker room. And same with Tamina, like just always call her like Mama Bear, Tamina. Those two, and like they were so close. I believe that they like traveled together and stuff too. So to have her be one of those women that brought me in, and I actually remember like Alicia Fox was really sweet to me too. She was very much like, come down to the lobby, come have a drink, come hang out. Like she really sort of integrated me into hanging out and getting to like know who people were when I was like brand spanking new. So yeah, I would say like right off the bat, those were the women. Natalia's always been somebody who, her and I have just always, I feel like we've just always been friends. I can't even like imagine us like not really being friends, but she's definitely one of those women as well.
She's amazing. She came through the Shimmer locker room once. We knew we weren't going to have her for long. It was one of those. Same with Beth Phoenix. It's like we're going to grab them for a weekend. We know they're going to be going to the
going to the show,
going to the big show. You know, it's going to be point in season at some point for them. So, and she came in and she just instantaneous, like locker room loved her. And of course, I'm like, you know, hey, I'm kind of office here. Make sure I get a little something with her. Get a little. So me and actually Del Rey tagged against Natalia and cheerleader Melissa at the time, and that was so much fun.
Awesome.
Yeah, it was a great time. I got to work with her. I remember she put me in the sharpshooter, and I'm reaching for Del Rey, but then I'd be like, reach, this is so fun. Yay. I'll go with it with a heart. So I was like really excited to work with her. And then every now and then we cross paths, but not as often as I'd like. And
Natty's the best. She's one person, like, especially like after shows, my favorite thing was like, Natty, let's go get some wine. Let's hope that the restaurant's still open at TV Hotel. And let's talk a little trash.
Let's talk some trash.
Wine and some food. That's real day. Yeah, Natty's the best.
Oh, she's such a sweetheart. And then so you get in, you get your shot with Total Divas. You're the only non-wrestler, I believe, that ever got to be on Total Divas.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. Mm-hmm. And that's where I really was
that's a big testament to the Bella twins as well. Yeah, that's a big testament to the Bella twins. They are also two like super gracious to me, really right from the get-go as well. I feel like you know, I came really close with Brie and Nicole, and I don't even really know how that happened, in the way of them being like, we should have her on the show, she should be on the show, and I'm like, what? Okay. Because I would film some scenes with them when they were on the show. Mm-hmm. Obviously they were there and started the whole show, but they would always have me like, oh, we're gonna go do this trip, come out and do this and blah blah blah. So I really got to like dip my toes into that world through them. And there are definitely two women that I very much look to and kind of like bounce ideas off of, as far as like career stuff, just looking at what they've been able to achieve and the way that they've been able to navigate their careers, you know, from on screen to behind the cameras, all that. I think there are two women that have just like, they've done it so well and so like seamlessly, and they're just such hard workers. It's the fact that they were able to give me that opportunity to come on to Total Divas and sort of step outside of the role that I was just currently in is, it was a really cool opportunity. It wasn't like, when I look back at it, it's like, I just didn't know what I was doing on the show. Again, it's like sometimes you get in these positions and like, I was very much of the mindset of like, well, I'm not a wrestler. Like, I don't want to take up too much TV time because I know it's not really for me. It's like more for them. So I
Yeah.
would kind of like be in my own head about that a little bit. But they were so cool with just like, get your shit in, girl.
You got to get it in. You got to get it in because they're
Yeah,
not going to give it to you if you don't.
exactly.
So
Exactly.
that's great.
Yeah.
And so you left in 2020, but you left for some great things. Look at you.
Yes.
You're going to be a mama.
Dun, dun,
You're going to
dun.
be a published cookbook author. Pre-orders
Crazy.
available now on Amazon,
Yes.
Amazon Canada, Amazon around the world. You better get
Everywhere.
Yeah, because
Pre-order.
when my cookbook comes, I am going to be messaging you going, okay, Renee, am I doing this right? Or I'm going to have to like FaceTime you or Skype you or Zoom you and just be like, look at this. Is this right? Is this right? Am I doing this? But
Please
then I'll make the follow-up baking cookbook because my goal one day is to become Mary Berry. I mean, I feel like that is probably the most wholesome goal I could possibly have. Yes, it's Mary Berry.
Amazing.
Yep.
Yeah.
Then
Listen, we've all got to set goals.
And remember, you and I, at some point, if they ever do a Great American Bake Off Wrestling Edition, you, me, Titus, who else are we getting in? Titus jumped in. Now I've never even met him, but he seems so nice. But he's like, don't forget me. I'm like, get into the kitchen.
Nicest. What's this? Corbin is also a huge. I don't know that he bakes so much. I think he might be dabbling into baking a little bit, but he cooks a lot.
Okay. So
he doesn't mess around.
We need to get a baking
team.
team.
Someone that could dabble as well. Yeah, absolutely. No, I'm all on board for that.
Like I'm pitching this. I'm going to pitch this to I don't know who, but I'm like this. I think this would be money. Bunch of us in the tent baking.
That for so long to WWE. Right? I was like, how can we not have like a great cooking show here?
Yes, needs to happen.
It needs to.
It needs to. Or you just need to make your own. I mean, you could be, Martha Stewart-esque.
Listen, if I can just get like my Snoop, I'm ready to go.
Who would be your Snoop?
I don't know. I'm not sure. Yeah, because I mean, Martha's like got this like wholesome attitude, but like let's not forget she's been to prison. She's done prison time.
Yeah, she has.
So she is a little bit gangster. Yeah, her and Snoop's relationship I find to be the most charming thing in the entire world. I don't know who my Snoop would be. I'd have to like do a little fine tooth comb to see who would be like the perfect person to like step in that opposite role.
Could be a Twitter poll in the making. Who would be your Snoop?
We go. Who
would be your Snoop?
I love that. Yeah, that's great.
I like that. We should make that happen.
What if like Jim Ross was my Snoop? He likes to cook a lot. I don't know that he's clowning around the way that Snoop does, but he likes a cocktail. I'll give him that.
Right?
Yeah.
Oh, I got to see this.
Yeah.
I'll be the first person sitting in the audience to watch that.
Yes.
So, all right. I'm not going to take up any more of your time because I have held you hostage for quite a while, but this has been fantastic. I'm so glad we've finally gotten the opportunity to do this. So what I'm going to do now is before we say our goodbyes is I'm going to give you this camera. It's just this camera. We only have one camera. A la Sean Evans. We only have one camera. Plug whatever you want. Plug oral sessions, plug the cookbook, whatever you need. Go for it.
Hell yeah. All right. First of all, you guys can follow me on all my social media platforms, which is at Renee Paquette on Twitter and on Instagram. My book, which is Messy in the Kitchen, My Guide to Eating Deliciously, Hosting Fabulously, and Sipping Copiously, is available on Amazon. As Allison said, it's on Amazon US, UK, Canada, wherever you are buying these books, on Barnes & Noble as well, I believe Indigo. So you can do that pre-order. It comes out May 18th, 2021, the year that we are currently in, coming up. And my podcast, Oral Sessions, you guys can listen to that everywhere that you get podcasts. Spotify, Apple Music. I've got some great guests coming up. So those new episodes drop every single Tuesday.
Yay! So happy. I'm so excited. I can't wait to dig in. I like mixing your podcast in with my other There's one podcast I'm going to tell everybody. It's my favorite. Is Fake Doctors, Real Friends with Zach Braff and Donald Faison.
Oh, I've seen that pop up. I've not listened to it. It's good.
Were you a Scrubs fan?
No, I watch a lot of Grey's, if that counts.
Grey's comes up at least once or twice.
Great.
Even if you're not a Scrubs fan, because they tend to digress a lot.
I used to have a huge
love
crush
it.
on Donald Faison, so that's fair.
Really?
Yeah, I mean,
Really?
from Clueless, I always thought that he was. Yeah, I always thought he was cute.
Ladies and gentlemen, I just found my clip for advertising this. Donald Faison, who used to have a little crush on you. Casey Cobb's going to be hunting you down on Instagram.
I know, right? God, also, she looks amazing. Have you
I was literally going to say the same thing. She makes me want a Peloton so bad.
Yeah, she really looks good. Good for her.
She hops on and gives mom advice. And then Florence Pugh hops on and talks about food. And I'm like, she's the next one I want to make my friend. And I'm like, oh, I think Paige might be able to help. Because like I was saying to you, I'm like,
Paige knows everybody.
She knows everybody. I'll be like, girl, vouch for me. So one, I can go on their podcast, and two, me and Florence can like make really cool pizzas and popcorn together.
I think Florence is like the cutest thing in the whole world.
Seriously.
Oh my God.
Love her.
She's adorable. Her Instagram is one of my favorites. She seems lovely.
She's amazing. So she's going to be our friend. We're going to bring her into the fold.
Agreed.
And then the three of us can have a cooking / baking / whatever show.
Perfect.
I know.
I'm in.
I'm manifesting this. I'm putting everything out into the universe.
That's all you can do.
The wall, see what sticks. So
I will tell you one that will stick that we can do very easily is the hockey podcast. We should do it.
I really think we should do it. That's going to be amazing.
Yeah, I agree.
And we're going to cuss on that one.
Oh my God. Are we ever? Buckle up.
Buckle up, everybody. Here it comes.
Yeah.
We're going to be like the Ryan Reeves of hockey podcasters.
Damn right.
It's going to be amazing. Right. So, well, I appreciate you so very much. You are a wonderful human being and future mama and cookbook extraordinaire and excellent neighbor.
Thanks for having me on. This was a blast. I really, really loved it. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm so excited. For those of you at home, as I told you before, and we're going to continue this, we are going to wear a mask. We're going to wash our hands, and we're going to love one another. And we're going to make 2021 much less of a dumpster fire. Yeah, we're getting off to a rotten start, but bless, we can do this, you guys. We got to pull together. Absolutely. Thank you so much. Make sure you like, subscribe, retweet, tell all your friends. Tell Zach and Donald I want to be on their podcast. They can come on my podcast.